That's the full title of that Bruce Springsteen song. It's a Radiohead Hail to the Thief bracketed bit after the song title that make most editions of that CD.
So I saw Bruce Springsteen this year in 2023 in Hyde Park with tickets that were also booked in 2022. And they were booked by one of my best friends in the world called Tom, not my other extremely close friend Tom Lambert, also a huge Bruce and music fan who's been referenced in the podcast in this episode, but my friend Tom, who I was at university with, and who took me to Bruce Springsteen first in 2009 at the end of our first year at university in a trip which, I was already a gig pig by 2009. And 2009 was a good gig pig year for us. I think we saw Manic Street Preachers.
Yes,
doing
Journal for Plague Robinson full at the Roundhouse.
Tom was bringing me into his world, a world that I didn't. I mean, Bruce had headlined Glastonbury that weekend, I think the night before, either the night or 2 nights before. So he was very much, if you're a music fan, even if you're not going to Glastonbury that year, jealous of French University were going, you're thinking about Springsteen in 2009, and I was a big fan, my dad, big Springsteen fan, and we listened a lot to an album called Magic from 2006 maybe, which is called Radio Nowhere, which Alfie always refers to as that new Springsteen song all the way up until the present day. And although I think Kearns and Wrecking Ball Wrecking Ball is the new Springsteen song, the last new Springsteen song.
Well, funny enough, for me, it's on that album. It's We Take Care of Our Own.
Yes, which was the
stomping lead single, which Joe Biden ran out to when it was finally confirmed that he would become the new president of the United States in 2020.
Finally. Yeah, long enough. And I think Obama refers to Matt Arnold told me that Obama refers to Bruce as the boss, which is lovely, because obviously he was the boss from America. So in short, Bruce has released popular singles all the way through, including the lead single from Left to You, and Ghost in 2022. So I have been a Springsteen fan, but my friend Tom is one of the great lovers of, like you in many ways, a wonderful, thoroughly decent man and lover of music. But we're obsessed with our passions to the point where we're talking about them for hours in lieu of potentially more efficient professional obligations. But when my friend Tom was into something, he did to max. He and I watched every single Philip Seymour Hoffman film between Philip Seymour Hoffman's death in 2014 and 2019. Because Tom was a massive Philip Seymour Hoffman fan and said, this is how we should honour the passing of the great man. We both worked nights. The Night Shift is a Commodore song that Bruce Springsteen covered at the gig, and so we were able to watch films in the daytime. And as you have noticed on this podcast, and I fear it's becoming one of the recurring themes of this podcast, I ain't seen no films, but I have seen every Philip Seymour Hoffman film. I've seen 100 films, let's say, and 65 of them are Philip Seymour Hoffman films with my friend Tom. And similarly, he's been Bruce Springsteen many times. He loves the music he loves. So the War on Drugs, our beloved War on Drugs, I saw them with him on the Lost in the Dream tour, but he also saw them in Bristol, I think possibly on his own, or with his brother, it doesn't matter, but he told me I was so jealous about going to see Lost in the Dream and disappearing into the sound watching War on Drugs, which is like one of those things that you can say about loads of gigs he loved, but he described it in such poetic intensity, a bit like when people, I guess, talk about, though he wasn't describing this, people talk about like drug experiences where you're sort of slightly competitive, like, no man, I saw like the dragon or the rainbow or whatever. Great
you were
examples.
day tripping. I was tripping. Neither of us put in the G on the end of tripping there. And so I would always ask him at gigs like the War on Drugs or the other gigs, like, did you disappear into the sound? Like, stop asking me that. You're devaluing it almost. And I described the end of 2009 as an amazing time in my life where I was so lucky to have had such a wonderful first year at university. I'd finished my prelims, in which I didn't actually do hugely well, as discussed with you here at your parents' house today. They didn't go well, so I actually had to go back to Russia to do some remedial language course at second year, to stay at university. But I finished the prelims, and then I got to do comedy, which I'd just started doing at a ball at Oxford. There's no hiding. That's where I went to university. Getting to do comedy at their balls was very exciting. And then the next day it was our college ball, and I attended that. and my friend's band played at it. In fact, a band that would become Foxes and Hedgehogs, the soundtrack to this, along with another band called Arthur Beatrice, featuring friends of mine who I loved, and that happened on the Saturday. So that was a real Gig Pigs. Gig Pigs, the Univ Ball 2009 episode.
It's a young Sheldon of our podcast.
I remember listening to Gig Pigs before. I was just searching Ball 2009 on Spotify, and I thought, oh great, an episode about it. And then I was essentially sort of pulled from my hangover on the Sunday to clear out my room at the end of first year and go and meet Tom at 2 p.m. to watch Bruce Springsteen in Hyde Park.
Okay, the networks are down, the equipment is ready, and we've crippled their supplies. Mrs. Rackman has written our check and given us the green light. We're good to finally move on that submarine and stop this threat once...
Oh, amazing to have this bumper weekend, but, my body would have benefited from a Sunday night in with the Dominoes, presumably not. Nothing stupid deal. Instead, the momentum just kept going, and I went and met Tom in Hyde Park on a gorgeous summer's day, and it was... Of course, getting to see Springsteen internationally, places like the Stadio Olimpico must be a great privilege. I've done that one deliberately. And I'm not who's to speak for Springsteen and say that London has a particularly strong place in his heart, but Live in London in 2009 became a concert film, DVD. You can watch it. It's called London Calling. He started with a cover of London Calling. I think it's called London Calling. But anyway, the DVD is available, and it was a gorgeous night. And he played Radio Nowhere, that new Springsteen song.
Yeah.
He played... he played the 4 songs that he always plays, Promised Land, Badlands, Born to Run, and, come on, Adam Razor Kane, maybe Dancing in the Dark, for goodness sake. I'm scrolling through my set lists. He doesn't play Adam Razor Kane, but I don't know at that point just how frustrating that will become to me. The centrepiece of it is Racing in the Street off Dance and Attack. Yes, I do apologise. I'm wrestling with a lot of memories here. And I've momentarily forgotten what album that was on, even though I do know. I'm not forgetting that it's Racing in the Street, because I would say that's long been my answer for, or certainly one of my top 3 answers for, songs, individual performances of songs live. It's the centrepiece of it. It's this beautiful song about, the cynic might say, the Springsteen themes of young friends and sort of slightly forgotten ambitions, and people driving around in cars, and let's be honest, a pastime specifically to which I don't relate. I think I went to one car fair in my local village in Wiltshire by mistake with my friend David a few years ago, but I ain't doing much racing in the street. And your father mocked me earlier today for only passing my driving test at the age of 20. But it's a beautiful song, musically. It's a stunning song with a lot of, and I've talked about my love of house piano. It's not how the work of Roy Bittan, aka the Professor, would be referred to, but it's tinkly, beautiful. It's not a keyboard, there's a piano there.
Yeah.
A man is playing. It's maximising beauty of the piano. And in Hyde Park, and a lot of songs get the maximum out of them at a Bruce Springsteen gig, but it gets this long piano outro. I don't think I am painting with sort of convenient brushstrokes to say that the sun is going down. And my friend Tom, who understands the narrative of these gigs, is communicating to me as it's happening that we are watching a piece of Springsteen history. And I think if you went on the forums, and I've sort of done a bit of this digging, it's referred to by people as that Racing in the Street 2009. That's a real emotional high point of a very significant 21st century Bruce UK gig. We've got other songs in that category. gigglypodcast@gmail.com. We then go 4 years later to the Ricoh Arena. I don't think that's quite... I might propose initially. So we'll go to the Circus Maximus.
Yeah. The 2013 Live from the Ricoh Arena DVD.
Yes, it does have it with note. And I had the extreme good fortune to go to the Ricoh Arena twice in 2013 to watch Swindon win away at Coventry with a last-minute goal and to see Bruce Springsteen. And those are the only 2 times I've been to the Ricoh Arena, and that'll do me for life with 2 triumphs. It was wet at the Ricoh in 2013. Tom insisted that we turn up as early as possible. We got in at doors, not quite at the front, but quite far forward. We sat on the floor watching the Royal Tenenbaums on a phone, 1 headphone each.
Brilliant.
And which
non-Seymour Hoffman film.
A non-Seymour Hoffman film, yes. I've watched 100 films, 65 of Seymour Hoffman's, and about 10 more waiting for Bruce Springsteen to come on. Presumably showing some disrespect for support act, or maybe just so early in the day that no music was on. But that memory doesn't record. What he's doing in 2013 I don't know if you recall seeing this, he was doing a lot of full album shows, and he was doing like a rotation, like he was doing different ones at different gigs. Tom went with another friend, I think, to see Born in the USA live, I think in Hyde Park that year. But we got Born to Run in full. So we got a sort of opening third featuring Wrecking Ball and Death to My Hometown and Hungry Heart. Oh, I've seen Hungry Heart live, my Word document tells me. And he played the song Two Hearts in response to a sign that said, play anything. Isn't that lovely?
Oh, I love
Getting to the front of a Bruce gig and holding a sign saying, play anything.
Do one for, yeah, that's real like putting another fiver on the bar and saying, get one for yourself.
Yeah, although not in London because you're getting a half.
Get half a nickel for yourself.
Oh, he's dissed a specific expensive drink. The official beer of lockdown, Tim Key. So we get Born to Run in full in the middle, and then we get obviously a pretty fantastic final third of the set as well. It's stunning, and then we drive home listening to the, I think, quite recently released Trouble Will Find Me by The National. It's a stunning evening with Tom. I've received quite a stern physical letter from my father earlier that day in response to me not wearing the right shoes at a family engagement. And, so I would be wrong to describe it as a perfect day. Not sure why I felt the need to bestow that glimpse on you. My father is not quite as 19th century Victorian as that sounds. There was other stuff. But I had received not the letter, Bruce Springsteen, 2000. Not the letter to you. I don't think the Bruce Springsteen album Letter to You.
I took down my letter to you and filled it with all my confusion at your violation of the dress code.
Not even violation. I was wearing some shoes with massive holes in, and my dad said, you need to get some new shoes, and generally taking this a bit more seriously.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm real team your dad.
Oh wow,
sorry.
No.
You really buried the holes in shoe sleeve there.
Right.
You said it as if it were a violation of the dress code.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling you up on.
Yeah,
Whereas it was a violation of the dress code. The code of shoes with no holes in.
Yeah, although that sounds like a very Springsteen lyric. No, I think it's a more specific than that. Anyway, I'm smarting with shoe shame, but nonetheless, it's a brilliant day at the Rico. And I've got to see Born to Run in full live, so that I can stick that, though it's not a, we've got some full album shows to our shared name. We've got a podcast coming out about an album played in full live. No spoilers. That alarm is to remind me. No, that alarm is to remind me to buy a whiteboard off Amazon Prime before the end of the day. And as I set that alarm, and I was like, we'll definitely finish the podcast by the time that alarm comes out. But I'll just stick another 20 minutes on the clock. So I've had the privilege of seeing Bruce in 2009, 2013, and then Tom has booked us in 2022. He's done, to tell us all this time, someone other than me has done the admin. We've got tickets booked, and there is absolutely no way to navigate the absolutely devastating culmination of this story that I didn't watch Bruce Springsteen with Tom a few weeks ago, because Tom was not with us to watch Bruce with. I watched Bruce with my dear friend Tom's wife and with Tom's parents, and who've also been very wonderful to me during many Philip Seymour Hoffman afternoons at their house, 2014 to present, but who I've also got to know very well in the last few months. And so they're very special people, and it's very special to go watch it with them. But, and of course, out of the four of us, not to hierarchize anything, but I'm not claiming that it's my devastation. I've watched Springsteen the most of the people there. I'm not even sure if that's true, because Tom's parents have fantastic stories about much more historic Springsteen gigs in 2009. But we are there as a 4. We are trying to emotionally be there as a 5, because we lost Tom last year out of nowhere, and it's a very and I remember telling you about it, and you'd seen him with me at the Edinburgh Fringe, just came to visit at the end of August.
Yeah, I met him. Late August.
He was a historian. Oh, yeah, I get you.
We were talking about his.
I'll be honest, Alex.
His dissertation, right?
His history shits on your history. You're a lapsed historian.
I barely had anything to lapse from.
a noble degree, Alex. We mustn't talk it down. But Tom did the Masters. He went away. He got his feet under the table, a very impressive career in journalism. But meanwhile, he retained his interest in history and had recently started a Masters.
About whether Charles was using knighthoods to curry favour, I think. We got into that on the cobbled steps outside Monkey Barrel after you'd just been watching Sam Campbell.
Amazing. That's exactly what it was about. Important to say Charles first.
I did keep it ambiguous.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the listener could have been contemporaries, but that was pre the Queen's death, so that would have been quite a sort of a treasonous dissertation about the future King Charles III's use of knighthoods, which are not really in the royal power these days to commission outside the Prime Minister. No, it was about King Charles I.
Or second, I'm letting myself down here very badly. I think first.
I thought it was first, and it was about the kind of during the Civil War. Again, I must have been a few pints down at midnight in Edinburgh after Sam Campbell, even 1 a.m.
And you'd had your brain frazzled by Sam Campbell, the Edinburgh Comedy Award-winning show.
I think I hadn't had my brain frazzled by him that night. I think you'd come out of Sam Campbell, and then I was. My brain was TB frazzled on a future night for Campbell. I had a lovely conversation with him.
I'm very proud to say that he was in Edinburgh to read Charles's letters to you in the National Archive of Scotland, and I'll have to stop telling the story because of finding it quite difficult to remember it, but also because I'm obviously paying tribute to my friend's colossal talents as a historian amongst many other colossal talents, but even beyond the level where it's quite funny that I can't remember the details, I'm being disrespectful if I keep saying wrong things about his work. He came to Edinburgh many times. We had some amazing nights at the Fringe. He was one of the great supporters of me doing stand-up from the beginning, and I was very grateful to him for that. But he was astonishingly dovetailing, coming to watch me and, as it turned out, I think 2, possibly 3 Edinburgh Comedy Award winners in 2 days. I planned as a good itinerary. We watched Sam Campbell and Liz Kingsman on the same day, but those were at the end of days where he was in the archive reading 500-year-old letters, and I do think I could paint so many other pictures, but I think that paints a pretty stunning picture of what an amazing man he was. And I shared this with my friend Will, who was at school and university with Tom. Went on Saturday, the 8th, in a similar way. He went with Tom's wife Jess and some other friends of Tom's and ours. We were both honouring tickets that had been bought by Tom, and that in itself is pretty, you've had months to, work your way through the various different chapters of this process, but then going there, you're like, this is going to be a wrecking ball, and the specific wrecking ball, Wrecking Ball is a very moving song, but it's a moving song mainly associated with I'm not trying to shit myself at a John Kearns gig.
And it's the Springsteen categories of moving are either emotional or sort of macro-political, and that's in Wrecking Ball is in category 2 of those, I think.
Yes.
Maybe it's also category 1, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, you can project, all sorts of things onto it, and the thing is, firstly, I was in a complex emotional quartet where I was very much, trying to keep things in perspective there already. But also, at a Springsteen gig, you're aware that there are going to be people there with all sorts of stories. And he's doing this tour, you've mentioned albums about sort of death and legacy. These songs are Last Man Standing and I'll See You in My Dreams off this album, and the general theme of the album. They're about, they are about loss. Before playing Last Man Standing, and this is what I'll get to essentially, because I know it's going to be an emotional evening, and I don't quite know exactly how and where all those different sort of trigger points are going to be. I obviously know that if he plays Racing in the Street, it's going to be, that's
lights out for...
Yeah. And luckily, I insured myself against that by going on set list of him. And, I hadn't insured myself, but I wanted it to happen in the way where you sort of... Are we still allowed to reference sort of wise things said about Bruce Springsteen by the cancelled comedian Louis C.K.? There's a bit where he's talking about human emotion on Chillin. Maybe he talks about he equates not being on cell phones and trying to live in the moment, and then he talks about turning on, I can't remember Bruce Springsteen's song, but he sort of almost describes it as like deliberately sort of driving right into the sort of emotional heart of the moment and maxing out, and me being like,
Racing in the Street is a song that I've thought about so many times in the last few months, and I've listened to it at points where I felt able to, and I've watched it live from Hyde Park on YouTube or wherever, and I found that pretty hard. But I want it, but I know that in a way maybe, save me from it. And yes, I probably will be saved from it because he's played it once in Malmo or Gothenburg. Anyway, he's played it in Sweden a couple of weeks before the gig, and maybe it's like heating it up in Sweden for Hyde Park. 14 years on, I brought a sign saying Racing in the Street like 2009, which is, again, it's like, that's only making the letters smaller on this sign that Bruce Springsteen won't be able to see because I'm not in the goals are all. But he's unlikely to, and I'm going, oh, what would it be? And I've done another thing at this gig, which is a side topic for preparation. I've been prepped by going on Setlist FM 2023 stats, and I've wanted us to have like real sing-along moments. And I have printed off some lyric sheets of like 10 Bruce Springsteen songs where I'm like, it's Ghosts and it's Letter to You, but it's also a couple of like The Promise. It's songs where you're like, I know it, but do I? And I've been maybe it would be fun because it felt like a very, Tom was a brilliant historian and a journalist, and like his amazing thing was about trying to like make you appreciate moments, not in a sort of remotely sort of aggressive or like, but you would feel this sort of wonderful historic and sentimental way of moments as in their anticipation, because he would sort of build you up to these things so much in the moment, and then obviously he was a nostalgic after my own heart, but crucially a historian and a diary keeper, the like which I would like to be, not at the cost of living life in the moment, but there was always great evidence of it, and that's one of the most, like, as we talked about with his friends, it's so much like devastating things to have lost. It's like, we're going to have to remember everything now? Tom always remembered everything. And so I was like, we should sing along to these songs, but how? Print the lyrics! Arriving at Hyde Park with A4 sheets of Springsteen notes in my bag, trying to capture it almost like a sort of turn to him, turn to page 50 of your hymn sheets thing. And we sort of had them and we glanced at them, and it was acknowledged, hopefully sincerely, that it was a nice, eccentric thing to do. But anyway, we had our lyric sheets for a few songs. We watched The Chicks, who we didn't have Sam Fender, we had The Chicks, formerly the Dixie Chicks, a fantastic support. We had a glorious sunny day in Hyde Park, very lucky with the weather. I think Saturday it was a little bit greyer, if not rainier, and they didn't get the river. Tough old Saturday, no rain or river. Fun fact, the night before, you had been watching Lee Fields, which we will discuss in a future podcast with Sarah Kendall. I had not watched it with you because I've been watching The Weakest Link. No, sorry, I've been failing. I may as well have been watching. I was watching The Weakest Link in the green room because I was eliminated so early during The Weakest Link. I did The Weakest Link in Glasgow, and I got the train down, and I had a lovely train down that morning with two Scottish couples on my table, or next to my table. One couple were going to see Billy Joel in Hyde Park the night after, and one couple, the dad was going with his son who lived in London to watch Bruce Springsteen on the Saturday, and so we became buds talking about our imminent BST Hyde Park experiences, and we texted about it afterwards, and it was lovely, and they were legends. Anyway, I was going on the Thursday. It was a lovely day. The Chicks were amazing. It was hot. I went off. I was a bit embarrassed that I had to go to the loo during Springsteen, because it's like we had the best possible position basically we could have had in the non-premium seats, standing. So it was a bit of a mission to go out and then get back. And as I was coming back, pushing through people with my pints, apologising, I clocked that Bruce was starting to he was telling a story. He was telling a story about the first band he ever played in. Does it ring a bell from Max and about how
he's the last
man standing, and that's what that song on the new album is about. It's about how, as he says, very simple, very poetic, Bruce, and he said, when you're starting out, it's all hellos, and then later on in your life, a lot of goodbye.
All right.
And Bruce, his own history of the E Street Band is full of that. I had the privilege of watching the big man, Clarence Clemens, in 2009. And then by 2013, Clarence had passed, and Jay Clemens, what a fantastic, his son, amazing saxophonist, and what a beautiful. Oh, sorry.
Is it his nephew or son?
You're right, it's his nephew. Another great bit of intel from Captain Stats. That's me being sarcastic about myself, but also the sentiment works non-ironically to you. Yes, Jacob's great saxophonist, great nephew. Didn't reply to my DM about whether we're going to play racing in the street or not, but that's not his job. I think it really beats. And then Danny Federici, another member of the E Street Band, is also like there's a lot of, I think, footage of both Carrick and Danny Federici play.
Right, maybe.
But he's also talking in Last Man Standing about like his first band that he played in. He said they played for 3 years. He's like, not bad for a teenager.
It's a lifetime at that age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we talked about this, and I think I talked about it with Jason Will as well, that like, it's like a piece of performance, like, we're like, oh, the band's always say the same pattern before things. It's like, yes, he tells this incredibly big, well-told, acted story.
Yeah. Did he do a piece of spoken word?
Yes.
Like perfectly again. Yeah.
Onto which, like, you could learn so much about Springsteen and his history, but also onto which I dare say quite a lot of people would emotionally project their own, losses. And as I say, I'm sure there are many around us, but it's that thing where I was carrying the beers back. There had been a lot of jokes about, like, would I make it? And I was ready, I'd seen them, and I was ready to push him and be like, he's done it! And as you're getting closer, you're like, Bruce is telling a devastating story, and yeah, we're all crying. So it's still good that I've got these drinks, but let's sort of try and hold them while sort of having a group embrace, which is hard. And then he plays Last Man Standing, simply, and it's pretty heartbreaking. And then it goes into Backstreet or to Run, which it's like, I'm a big fan of piano. May I say again, Roy Benton, the Professor, a stunning. I mean, everyone in the band. I love Roy, I love Max, I love Jake, but I can't name them all, although Bruce does. One of the many wonderful things he does as a piece of show is he introduces the band, but he introduces the band. It's like everyone gets like a fantastic, like anyway, we're talking about Roy Benton, the Professor. The piano, may I read you, if I may? In his review of Born to Run for Rolling Stone, writer Greil Marcus says, Backstreets begin with music so stately, so heartbreaking that it might be the prelude to a rock and roll version of the Iliad. It's exactly the sort of thing. I wish I'd found that quote to talk about it with Tom, because he'd have loved that. It starts with like a minute of piano, and then the music, the rest of the song rolls around it. And then suddenly we're into One Soft Confessing Summer, and then it's a lovely Bruce talking about his childhood friends. But like, it's like the, I haven't got the piano outro of Racing in the Street, but I've got the piano intro of Backstreet, and we got Backstreet as part of the Born to Run, the full album, at the Rico in 2013. Tom loved Backstreet, so good. Hate to make this all about the extra swirl. Well, that's my extra swirl for this episode, is, which I even, not even I hadn't appreciated, but I hadn't appreciated until I was listening to it a lot in the run-up to this gig. Being like, this is pretty great. And Jess said, again, Bruce Springsteen songs particularly crafted, but Jess said, I don't think it's a coincidence that was again sundown in the middle of the gig. Last Man Standing into Backstreet, that, I couldn't handle it. It was so, and it's that roar of like, which even if you haven't heard it, he does it a lot. You can jump on board. And it's brilliant and it's beautiful. And then we get, much like you, this sort of like absolutely insane run.
Well, it's just like a greatest hits. It's then like She's the One, and isn't it for you?
We've already had, it's a compare Thursday and Saturday, but we have got The River already, which obviously is very beloved in the canon. And then we get The Last Man Standing, Backstreet, Because the Night, the song that he wrote and then gave to Patti Smith, which obviously, done, popularised brilliantly by Patti Smith, but it's lovely little crossover. She's the One. Wrecking Ball, barely touching the sides, but it's pointed. But, obviously, I could have done with an adult nappy then. And Mark Beveridge and myself for the Berserk Wrecking Ball performance. Then Rising, off the album of the same name, and then Badlands, and then Thunder Road, which is I thought about this more since seeing Born to Run live in 2013. So, Darkness on the Edge of Town is probably my favourite album of Bruce Springsteen's. It's got my two favourite songs. Racing in the Streets, the best song I've ever seen live. Adam Race Cage, the best song I've never seen live. But Born to Run, it's important to remember that Born to Run has the song Born to Run in the middle, but it also has Thunder Road, Backstreet, and Jungle Land. And if you're liking piano and you're liking saxophone, you're getting a lot out of this wonderful album.
I have to say that this streak of songs is so good, and I don't have an adult nappy at the Circus Maximus. So I'm having to, after like, I'm needing a pee, I would say I'm needing to go to the loo.
Yeah, I've gone for a pee.
That
bit at least done.
I'm needing that, like, in Bruce's half-outspoken words about being the last man standing. And then there's like a run of like some fantastic songs. I'm like, okay, but Andrew needs to go to the loo. It gets to the point where I'm literally going, Thunder Road comes on, and I'm going,
I'm still listening to it if I'm walking to a
I think I got a lot of weird looks in the crowd being like, this man's walking back during Thunder Road. I'm like, yeah, but it's like an absolute feast. I'm going to have to, and I don't regret that choice. If I had given what then comes, still after Thunder Road,
I don't know if it's exactly what I was watching, but we go into the encore. The encore is Born in the USA. Born in the USA, again, they don't play on Saturday. They're a message, and embarrassed to not have their names to hand. There's that whiteboard again. We simply must have the podcast in order. My Scottish friends from the train sent me a message saying they were quite annoyed at Saturday's set list, and I'm like, wow. I mean, of course, they still had a great time, but it's like, I'm sure I would have had an amazing time. I actually got Last Night Standing to Backstreet on Saturday, but yeah, we get The River, we get Thunder Road, we get Born in the USA, then Born to Run, then Bobby G, then Glory Days, then Dancing in the Dark, then 10th Avenue Freeze Out, also Born to Run, which is such a great song. And then this interesting decision, this emotional night, he ends every gig on this tour, mostly I think, with I'll See You in My Dreams, which is a bit like, we're back in the huddle for this one.
Yeah.
And it's, you could end with like Dancing in the Dark or something, but you end with, it's a very, of course Springsteen can do it.
It's devastating. It's like
an extra catharsis, but some people, maybe the more casual people, some of even the gold circle, I'm sure, were like, should we be really cheering this one? But ending on a downer,
well, it's just a completely beautiful song. It's so, I think I was pretty happy with that decision.
Yeah, and then we got to walk out. It's always a faffing thing, a big gig, and sort of trying to work out where your tubes are and everything, and really go for drinks.
For us to navigate, because we just had to walk towards the Coliseum for a bit, so that was quite an easy,
wow, the road double.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked to the Coliseum, about Marble Arch Station, which, to be fair, lovely arch.
Yeah, that's true.
That's sort of a thing. Anyway, we were walking in this sort of, zombie trance. I said, like a lot of other people who've just been like whacked with one of the best gigs, if not the best gig you'll ever see, and a lot of emotion, including Rush, the very last song. And I must order a whiteboard on Amazon Prime, but I was so lucky to get to see Springsteen twice with my friend Tom, and I was very, very lucky to get to see him a few weeks ago, and to get to see him and his family, because it was, it's a pretty big things that we've done as his friends, and it's very easy to do. It's very easy to commemorate a friend when a friend, it's not easy, obviously, emotionally is absolutely awful, but it's easier finding to do if they've got loads of passions and they were amazing at sharing them with their friends, because you've got this like built-in like legacy. We watched a Philip Seymour Hoffman film all together. We watched Bruce Springsteen because he bought us the tickets. If you've got the ability, Geek Gigs is sort of about this in a way, going to gigs if you can, and we know that people can't always, but if you can go and build these experiences with your friends and your family and share them and appreciate their importance, and if not print out lyric sheets, but kind of decide in advance what songs you might love to see together, and even learn those lyrics so you're ready to belt them into your friend's face, like cherishing these moments and understanding, not poisoning yourself with nostalgia, as I do, but understanding that moments like this will be moments that you will remember with those people and cherish them as such. And keep in a diary if you can, at least a concise one where the big moments are logged. And these are the lessons, and I've talked about this so much with you, but also with Jazz and my friends, with many people, but that's what you can hope. I mean, we've talked on this podcast, we talked at the end of our Stars episode about our dear friend Adam Brace, the comedy director who passed away earlier this year,
And, you know, his memorial service in June was a pretty stunning, like, look what a legacy this person leaves behind in terms of passion.
A brilliant person.
Yeah, and you could, you know, he loved cricket so much that TMS was played live at his memorial service on the first day of the Ashes. Like, you know, people leave all sorts of wonderful legacies. It's pretty, I don't wish to conflate these two, but it is pretty devastating to have had two in the space of a few months. But I love Bruce Springsteen. You love Bruce Springsteen. My friend Tom loved Bruce Springsteen, and I loved him. So this is for him. But I'd also say, more glibly, if you get the chance to see Bruce Springsteen, there may not be that many more chances he's doing this sort of farewell-ishy sort of tour. There's no one like the boss. And he's 73?
73. I mean, I hope he's back.
And the band are incredible, and they still look amazing. And you know, yeah. Try and go and see him in a place where it's not tiered standing. But equally, you know, thanks Hyde Park for putting on many of the greatest gigs I've ever seen. My recommendation is the song Racing the Street and Back Streets. And you know what, Last Man Standing, just knock yourself out all of them.
Yep, and I'll say mine. I'll see you in my dreams.
Wow, lovely. Alex, I won't see you in my dreams. I'll see you at our next imminent podcast record, which actually for us is some distance away, a couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
Epic gap. Thank you for talking to me about this. Thank you for being such a good friend to talk to you about this at many points over the last few months. But also, you know, I've taken over this podcast about our shared love and respective experience with Springsteen. We're talking about something very specific to me, which I have also checked with Tom's wife and parents, but it's important to me.
Of course.
Thank you very much, Alex.
No, thank you for sharing, and thank you for listening.
For our next podcast, we'll be watching the documentary Meet Me in the Bathroom about how much we like the Strokes in 2001.
We can sit in complex, varied emotional terrain, Ivo. That's okay.
We can.
I'm sure the listeners respect the complexity of both fun and grief.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been good in its own way. Hey, Thomas, you've had a haircut.
I have had a haircut, but you can tell I'm not confident in it because I'm wearing a baseball cap, which is always a giveaway with me.
I know, but you shouldn't. You should show it like the Samson that you are.
I'll lift it. What do you think? It's all right.
Oh my God! No! What have you done?
Anyway, Sim, we don't normally skip into an episode quite as quick as we're going to here, but I can confidently say
This is a good one.
it is a really fun one, and I can also confidently say something that our guest says today is one of the weirdest food things I've ever heard.
It's truly crazy.
Yeah, there is an egg-based snack, an egg-based peculiarity which crops up in this episode, which I'm fascinated to know if you listeners also do anything similar to. And if you do, you can email the show on hello@myfavoritetakeawaypodcast.com, but I don't expect you to do that, because I can't imagine anyone else does this thing. Our guest, Simran, who is brilliantly funny and such a joy to talk to, is
The very funny Stevie Martin, and you can follow Stevie on Instagram. If you search on Insta, Stevie Martin, they'll all come up with 5TEVIEM, that's her handle, and it's the same for Twitter, 5TEVIEM.
And she also has a fantastic podcast called Nobody Panic, very, very funny, and she presents with the brilliant comedian Tessa Coates. They're both awesome. Check out Stevie's stuff as soon as you can, and enjoy her takeaway thoughts now. Stevie, we've had something which just happened, which never happened before on this podcast. I don't know how you feel about this. So you were messaging me, slightly concerned that you hadn't been sent a code for when your takeaway turns up and whether you'd be allowed to receive your takeaway.
Correct.
I messaged the producer. The producer said it's such a cheap order, that's why they haven't bothered giving her one.
That can't be a policy. It's £27.
Well, I've been told it's something like 14 quid, is what they said. Jamie Lang did the most expensive order we've ever done, which is in Series 1.
How much?
120 quid's worth of Mexican food.
What, like, how much did he order? Did you order from a really expensive place?
Well, what was really great about it, he didn't like it so much that we had to bleep out the name of the restaurant throughout the recording.
The only time we haven't given the name of the restaurant in the episode was after £120.
And it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. It was terrible. But you're at the other end of the spectrum. It maybe isn't 14 quid, because 14 quid I think would be our cheapest ever.
So tell us, Tim, what did you order?
So I ordered crispy teriyaki tofu.
Nice.
With garlic broccoli as the side vegetable. And I've just realised actually it probably is £14 because I missed off something that I'm now really annoyed with.
Lobster.
Lobster diamonds.
Okay, yeah.
So basically it comes with a vegetable, but then I also order a side, and what I did is I forgot to say vegetable. So yeah, it probably is £14, but not by design. I'm now going to be really disappointed.
So what is this crucial part that's missing? What is this bit that you're going to pour?
So I don't think I've ever ordered like green beans as in a takeaway, because it would just be like, just go to a shop. I feel like takeaway's got to be like a cheeky meal rather than a meal that you'd be like, great, I can grow that in my garden. It's here!
Oh! That reaction made it sound like that specific dish was here as well at that point. The beans have arrived! Stevie has leapt up from her chair and it's now just Sim and I staring each other in the eyes with no guests. Stevie's back, holding a bag.
I'm so sorry for that response. It's because by the time they've called me, he's been waiting outside for my dodgy intercom. He was walking away.
I like that you're saying intercom.
Oh, is it? Am I saying it? Is it intercom?
No, I just have it.
Well, listeners, very briefly, just to say, one thing, listeners would have missed this prior to we started recording, we discussed this. You have your intercom linked up to your mobile phone.
Yeah.
Which is something I wasn't aware was even possible in 2023. We truly are living in the future.
It's not, it's worse. It's not,
Okay.
I didn't want it to happen. My intercom doesn't work unless it's on my phone. It rings my phone as if it's like my phone is calling me.
Oh, that's stressful.
It's very stressful. And also it rings like, I don't know how long it is, but I have obviously rang, I should do that. I've never rang the bell at the intercom and then seen the lead time, but basically it must have been a long time because whenever I answer the door, everybody's annoyed. Always. So the amount of times I've chased takeaway people down, like British Bulldog. I don't think that's how British Bulldog works actually. That's assault is what I described that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would not be a defensive court.
Nor should it be.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're saying when you go down that the takeaway driver has gone often, or is going down the street?
Often, or they're about to go, or they're sort of pacing, or they're like...
Oh, that's so stressful.
Are you shouting after them? Stop, please stop.
I'm barking at them, that's what... yeah, no, I try, yeah, also, I've done it as well where I've gone out, and I've been like, oh, it's gone, and then I chase them down, and it's not a takeaway person, it's just a guy just walking past my house.
Okay.
So he was actually very friendly, this one. I think you guys must have tipped him quite well. And you are correct, it's actually £12.50 is my takeaway.
Man, I think it's a new record. I think that is actually our cheapest ever. Maybe Rosie Jones. Rosie Jones got chicken cottage or something like that, which is possibly cheaper. Yeah, that's for 8 quid.
This is good stuff, though. This is like good food. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what £12.50 gets you.
Okay, so it gets you this. I would have also had a side of these fried green beans. I was trying to describe, and then the takeaway arrived, and I panicked because I was screaming. Fried green beans, which is not something that I would have thought would ever be nice, but I had it by accident once, and I lost my mind. And this kind of pickle, and I can't describe it anyway. It looks like brown pickle, but it's not. It's like, I can't describe. It's really umami, like delicious, and that's not here. But thankfully, there's enough seasoning on that teriyaki crispy tofu.
Oh, that does look great.
That looks great.
So where have you ordered this from?
So this is actually from a takeaway. I'm just going to get some.
Yeah, get stuck right in.
This is from a takeaway place that in my old flat where I used to live, it opened up in a building next door to me, and it's called Eat Fan. It's like an Asian fusion place. It's got quite a small select menu, but every single thing on it is like a delicately seasoned banger.
I love that.
It's not greasy, it's not like overpowering. Sometimes it's a bit bland.
Too delicately seasoned, if anything.
Sometimes like you can see when like my parents come around and recorded it in my old flat, like my parents being a bit like, is that it? And you like taste it though, and then like, oh, it is balanced, you know?
Oh, it is balanced, but you're holding in your hands two condiments. Very popular ones these are.
I'm so glad that you noticed. So you can buy this in Eatban, but I'm a cheap bastard. So I have some sriracha and some vegan mayo because I'm an ethical cheap bastard. And what I do is I just make up a little...
Okay, that's a big old tablespoon of mayo you've got there.
I'm going to probably get 2 tablespoons of this.
We seem to be avoiding the key thing here, though, Simran, that you're adding, Steve, you're adding mayonnaise.
And sriracha.
And sriracha's going to mix it up great.
Sriracha mayonnaise.
What's happening here?
I'm trying to redo it immediately. It is a problem that I don't know what country this food is based in. I feel like they've anglicised it to the point where it doesn't matter. Like chicken korma, that's the thing, perhaps.
I did glance at the menu earlier, but I think it's Chinese, Korean, Taiwanese, clearly fusion food from an area.
Thank God. Okay, because I said Asian fusion before and I was like...
No, you're good, you're good.
I'm really interested in this mayo sriracha combo. I've seen you squirt the bottle of sriracha on top of the mayo.
I brought a bowl to mix it in and then thought, well, why?
What's coming out now? What's it?
So it's soy sauce, and you can never have enough, and I want to be really uncomfortable after this, you know, really like...
Really bored. I'm currently imagining how offended the chef would be if he watches to actually you add all the flavours once he sends it to you.
May I please? So I've taken my lead from Eatban. They serve sriracha mayo with it.
Okay.
You pay an extra £1. That's why I'm saying I'm a cheap bastard. So I can make it myself. So the teriyaki tofu is so sticky and delicious. It's a real taste sensation when it's all together. So much so that I basically only ever have water with it. But today, my sister, who's a amazing activist, but also has a big Instagram following, got sent Gillian Anderson's new drinks.
Are they alcoholic? What's the vibe of them? Are they health conscious?
Yeah, okay. You know it, yeah. So we've got Soothe, cornflowers and sage. There's a big G on all of them.
Cornflower?
I've seen those.
Cornflowers, sage.
Cornflowers, okay, right, okay, yep.
I think what they've gone for is, what she's gone for is titles of ingredients that you say, I thought that was a description of something. So, meadow sweet and ginger. That's just when a meadow's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got cornflowers
and sage, meadow sweet and ginger, which is called Protect.
Oh, that's nice, okay. But with no explanation to what that actually means.
What are we protecting?
They sound like the names of very annoying middle-class children.
Protect.
And then third one?
Lift.
Red ball of cocaine.
Red ball of cocaine. Correct. That's how I'm feeling.
That's what she's on set.
Pomegranate, cherry, raspberry. I wouldn't say cherry's a berry, but maybe I'm really out of order there. Berries, peppercorn.
So what do we genuinely think has happened there? Has she thought it's wrong I went into acting, but it's not really my passion. I've always wanted to run a drinks brand with flavours that are vague, but make you feel about something that might exist. Or have a company come to her and said, there's money here.
It's got to be the latter. It just must be.
Surely, right? Or accounting said you need to diversify your revenue streams. You've got to do it now.
There's too much acting.
Too much acting. It's too much acting. You could have started selling different products.
Okay. I'm cracking open the meadow sweet and ginger.
I want to try this meadow sweet and ginger. Is it sparkling, Stevie?
It's sparkling. It's still. It's okay.
So, how often are you ordering a takeaway?
It depends how my life's going. It more depends what I'm doing at that time. So if I'm doing working off a show, a live show, and after a gig, I don't really much care for gigs. I love having a show that I'm showing people, but I don't much like the whole this might not work, doing it in front of people. I find that quite stressful. So after that, the answer is always get a takeaway, and then you've got something nice to go home. That's always the answer. Because if you drink alcohol, which is what I probably did when I was much younger, then you're just drunk and sad and you've had a gig, and then you also can't I like to remember what I've written, and so it's good to just be basically to use food as a comfort mechanism.
And what would be your go-to takeaway
this
then after?
Genuinely, it's this.
It can't be there every time, Steve.
It pretty much is. Yeah.
No, it's not. Not every time.
I'm not kidding. About a month ago, I had a 3-eat fan week and it was the same meal.
Wow, okay.
Let's go further back in time before this existed.
Yes.
What was it then?
Are we talking about like my childhood takeaway?
Let's go back to childhood. Let's go right through.
The early years.
The early years, we didn't actually. I think this is probably the reason why I don't have loads of takeaways, and I'm sort of slightly scared of takeaways. We can unpack that later. What I mean by that.
Which is why you'll only have 3 fans in a week. You don't want to, you keep it down to that.
But the same thing.
Okay, I see. Okay, this is interesting.
I don't experiment. It's because we didn't really get takeaways, like growing up, pretty much at all. And it wasn't like, no takeaways. It was my mum and dad both really loved cooking and were very good at it. And so if it was like an exciting dinner, we'd be like, oh, can we have this? Rather than it would never really be a takeaway, except from Blockbuster, DVD, and Domino's. Yeah. I remember like sort of being so excited when it was a Blockbuster and Domino's night. I was like oscillating. But again, I would always order the exact same thing, so I can tell you immediately what I would order. It would be a medium vegetarian supreme pizza. My sister would have a veggie-rama, or veggie-rama it's called, now discontinued. It has better flavouring per one, but you can't eat as much of it, so I would have the veggie supreme with the freshness of the vegetables. That and sometimes chicken dippers before I was vegetarian, and extra garlic sauce. And then when I was a student, I couldn't really afford takeaways. I didn't really do it. And then when I slowly could, it's less the actual takeaway place and more what I would order. So if we're somewhere and there's Chinese, like we go to an Airbnb or something, or like I'm like, oh, I fancy Chinese. Always the same. It's always black bean tofu, fried rice. If it's a curry place, I'm going biryani, I'm going onion bhajis, I'm going poppadoms, and I like the onion salad. Nothing more than that.
Really?
Every time. Yeah, pretty much every single time. Because, and this is probably where I start to unpack the psychology of being takeaways, I'm a control freak and a perfectionist, and so if I get an element of my day wrong, and it's my fault, I'm furious. If I get a takeaway and it's not nice, I may as well be dead.
No, I absolutely get that. I completely get that.
Stevie, your appetite for an onion salad makes you very authentically Indian.
Yeah. Always thought I was Indian. Always knew it.
I knew it because the Indians, when we have the onions in, that's the first thing you go to. We dip it in a bit of salt and then we have it.
Give it a bit of salt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So Simran, where am I on the spectrum then? If I have 2 mango chutneys, 1 mint sauce, and the onions, where does that leave me in the spectrum? And often a tamarind sauce as well. I'm so dip obsessed.
I love a dip.
I really go heavy on them. Yeah, I see, that can be the thing. You talk about things going wrong with takeaways. A takeaway, we talked about this before, but a takeaway for getting the dips can be a thing that really screws you for me.
Oh.
Especially with Domino's. Domino's is the absolute classic for that.
Here's a good question for Stevie then. Stevie, what are your desert island dips?
I think I'm getting quite emotional that you asked me that. If my family,
We'll have 3.
okay, there's sort of a bit of a joke in my family. So, like, if I have a fry-up, for example, it'll be like, they'll say which dip, and it's like ketchup, brown sauce if you have it, mustard, and mayo, and I'll use all of them. I can't stand dry food. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I'll be fully lubed. I think, judging by the amount that I buy, I think hummus, I will eat hummus with a spoon as a meal, or a snack. Let's be honest, a snack.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you get through a whole cup in one sitting? Easy.
Yeah, so when I found out, embarrassingly recently, like hummus has got quite a lot of, like, it's quite a lot.
But it's good fats though, isn't it? I think it's quite good for you, yeah.
Very healthy, but I don't think you're meant to eat, like, literally, I thought a pot was a serving, so I'd have that before dinner sometimes, be like, okay.
Pot is one serving before dinner.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you'll sit there you've had a bad preview, you come back.
Oh yeah, I've got a teaspoon. I have a teaspoon to make it last longer. I've got a bit of paprika, and then a bit of olive oil on top of it.
Oh, nice.
If I've got some chickpeas, sometimes, if it's been a very bad gig, I'll sprinkle some whole chickpeas on top, and that doesn't really add to the flavour, it just makes me feel nice.
I love that you do this. You pimp up your dips.
I do. And I'm not even too impressed with anyone. I'm alone when I'm doing it.
That's awesome.
Second dip, it is ketchup because I use that in like sauces, and also I will hard boil an egg, dip it in ketchup. Bird's eye tail, waffles, pop one in the toaster, ketchup. Chips, ketchup. Like it just feels like the constant.
Just because it's one of the most depressing things I've ever heard. Like, I'll hard boil an egg and I'll dip it in ketchup.
For a little snack.
It's suddenly felt really sad.
A little snack for the lady. The lady wants an egg.
Was the leg? Yeah. So, oh my god, it's so bleak.
It's not bleak when I'm doing it. I'm smiling. I'm singing the egg song.
When are you eating this ketchupy egg? What is that? Are you out and about, or is it in the house? What is the situation?
I did it yesterday. I was alone, and I was in my house, and I had a hard-boiled egg in the fridge, thought, it's ketchup egg time. Opened the egg a little bit, squirted the ketchup in, it shot out the other side as well, all over the wall. So, there's a little bit of like adrenaline with the thing. I don't dip, I like to try to inject the ketchup.
What, so the ketchup went through the egg?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you injecting it with?
The nozzle of the ketchup, it's not really a nozzle, just the bottle.
And the pressure was so much it blew out the other side of the egg.
Blew out the other side.
You're putting the nozzle of the ketchup into the hard-boiled egg, squeezing down, and then the egg is flying out the other side.
Yeah, in my defence, I thought the yolk was softer than it was, so that it would have left a bit of room for the sauce. It wasn't. It was hard as a rock. There was no the massive capacity, and so it just shot through.
Absolutely incredible.
That was bad.
And your third one, your third dip.
Yeah.
I mean, how can this get weirder? So far we've had
This is normal. This is a normal one.
a pimple that you're eating alone with a spoon, and an egg which you're blowing its innards out with some ketchup.
We've jumped over the potato waffle in the toaster.
No, that's fine. That's an absolute win. That's great. Ashleen B told me that at the Edinburgh Festival about 10 years ago, and it's the most useful thing anyone's ever taught me.
All right, I've confirmed.
I was gonna say.
Getting into it, Simran, it's like 2 minutes aside, so after 4.5 minutes you have a perfect waffle. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll do it. I'll happily do that. I will happily do that.
Absolutely. Okay. And the third dip, what's your third desert island dish?
See, it's a toss-up between, like, I need a bit of kick now. So it's a toss-up between like English mustard, like the stuff that gets in your nose. You're like, oh!
Yeah.
Will dip an egg in that, but that, I would never blow, you can't, it's not really sweet sauce, mustard. Or garlic aioli. It's not garlic aioli, it's just aioli, isn't it? Garlicky dip.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, the difficulty with that is I've picked 3 dips, so you're like, okay, that's a favourite dips. But if I was having a curry, I would have to have mango, because there's like nothing else to do with mango chutney. Or I can mix with yogurt sometimes. I don't think I can actually have curry without mango chutney. I couldn't have roast dinner without apple sauce. Weirdly, like, or cranberry sauce, but apple sauce is my preferred. So, or like a cheese sandwich, it has to have. It's basically like a dip. It's a spread, isn't it? It's a spread.
It's a spread. It's a spread.
It's a condiment. Yeah, no, so maybe it's not. I don't think it's a spread. I think it's a condiment. Yeah.
Ketchup's a condiment.
Yeah, well, that's a very good question, actually.
Okay, well then, like, let's get ketchup out, move aioli up, and mango chutney goes third.
You put mango chutney third, but it's not versatile. You're only using it for one dish.
I know, but I couldn't have a curry without it. So that would mean I'd be literally unable to have a curry.
You're not going to get a curry on a desert island.
Oh, that's a good point, isn't it?
But then, I was thinking about that. The mustard for a desert island, if I'm lost on a desert island, I don't eat mustard.
Oh yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that.
Something's going to make me cry.
Well, great. If you can't think with the format here, we say this is not available on a desert island.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I think, well, I can do that English with my bare hands, no doubt.
You don't want to eat mustard with fish. Huel. I'll have fuel as a dip on the desert island. Complete food.
Well, the protein shake.
Yeah, complete food. Okay. I'll dip it. I'll dip my hand in it and eat it. There we go. Sorted. Fine.
Well, that is absolutely remarkable. Shooting that excellent ketchup is one of the most remarkable things I've ever heard of in my entire life.
For a second, with that ketchup thing, I think it was you have a syringe that you take and you inject it with ketchup.
Yeah. I think if I had one, no, I couldn't be asked. Obviously, I couldn't be asked. That's why I'm shooting it through the egg in the first place. I'm incredibly lazy. Obviously, I've even got little tiny bowls that like almost like little sauce bowls.
They're called air cups.
Often called air cups or ramekins to have.
Okay.
That it's next to the fridge, so it would take me 5 seconds to just go pop the ketchup in the bowl, dip the egg in. That, I mean, I was making a slightly depressing snack. bearable, but I won't do that. I think it's often laziness. One of the worst things when I moved in with my partner, I wasn't allowed to have my snack or just getting a can of kidney beans, just pouring some ketchup and mayo in there, working it around.
Oh god.
No. He's like, I want to move out, and then he was in a really quiet way. I actually that was the one thing, just being like a. He was like, I'm so sorry. Do you think you could maybe not eat that one? I'm so sorry. And he was like, oh god, it's really serious.
Hold on a sec, just to go back on that. Kidney beans in the can. Liquid in them as well.
I drain it, but not
Okay.
not as efficiently as you'd want me to.
Yeah, that's genuinely disgusting.
You know how efficiently I want you to drain it? Simply to pour all the contents out, to entirely drain it, 100% including the beans.
I'd have a different snack.
Protecting
And eat
yourself is
something else.
Exactly. Do you heat it up? Because my wife and her sister have a thing where they will get a tin of beans each, not heat it, just crack open the lid and just eat that in front of the telly.
Baked beans?
Eat cold baked beans. Yeah, baked beans. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I fucking love baked beans. 100%. I once, in 2015, I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and there was quite a, I'd say quite poorly attended live version of Get Your Own Back with Dave Benson Phillips.
Amazing, yeah.
And me and my friend Tessa were asked to do it, and we sort of did it out of the nostalgia version, and my friend came to watch. One of the tasks was eat these cold beans as quickly as possible, and my friend like screamed like, "You literally did that yesterday, Steve! You're a bullish!" And I absolutely wiped the floor with everybody. There's nothing actually wrong with it. It's just the thought of it. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with the baked beans. It's the kidney beans.
Yeah, I understand.
I was once on a stag do in Amsterdam, and hungover the next morning. This sounds like such an uneventful stag do. We were watching kids' TV, Dutch kids' TV. They had a bit where one of the episodes, the presenter was going to try a pickled onion for the first ever time, and they got the entire studio audience. This is what I found weird: to count down from 20.
Long time.
Oh, that's a lot.
And then he had it, and like you with the beans, just like, yeah, it's fine. That was it.
It is fine.
Dutch TV is apparently when you're kids.
That's Dutch TV. I feel like there's a lot of things though. I can't think of any examples. Maybe you can. Oh, like okay, maple syrup and bacon. I'm vegan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll eat the occasional egg. I suppose it's just constant leg.
Yeah. You have one waiting in the fridge at all times, half boiled, ready to go at any time.